Coming back from lockdown, opportunity, adapting and expansion. Tonight we are going to discuss these days of lockdown and how we can use them to review our business and prepare new strategies. Clearly there will be a lot of M&A opportunities, so it's important to upskill our presentation skills at this time. Richard will discuss with us tonight the importance of presentation skills and how to present with impact. Hello, my name is Paul Raftree and I'm the CEO of Projects RH based in Sydney, and today I'm joined by Richard Carter. Richard founded his own business networking group, Business Connections, and is the author of Present with Impact, a business presentations course, and he is a licensed insurance broker. Richard is a wonderful communicator. First, he is a great listener. And second, his manner of speaking makes all people feel comfortable. In his spare time, Richard convenes networking groups and coaches people in presentation skills. Richard, we have previously discussed that a number of clients have come to you with either the desire to sell or buy a business. A purchase may need to have suppliers and other parties involved, but more importantly, they are able to need to present their case or argument with passion and commitment. We have previously seen clients come to you, and we need to understand how you can help them to help themselves. So, welcome, Richard.
Thank you, Paul, and I'm delighted to join you this evening. Thank you for your very generous introduction. That was very nice of you. Yes, indeed. Look, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of good people with strong businesses who, when it comes time to raise capital or sell outright, they may have several important areas where they're not as well positioned as they might be. For instance, even if they have good, well-documented accounts, they could certainly benefit from the high quality financial analysis which Projects RH can perform, or even going a step further and having your organization produce a comprehensive financial model. That sort of investment will not only enable potential buyers and investors to have confidence in the business they're looking at, but it will also help identify key factors that could be presented to those interested parties. Having an attractive overview.
But Richard, really what's important in that is we can prepare all the tools in the world for a person that's going to seek equity or debt or even buy a business. But unless they can come with passion to convince the investor, the lender, and even the staff that they have the commitment to that business, they're not going to be really successful. I mean, part of raising money is carrying the investor with you, that you are committed to the business. We often say with our early stage businesses, they're investing in you. So we say to the CEO or the chairman or the presenter, the people we're taking you to, they don't want to hear Projects RH. They know we've done the work. They trust our numbers are the numbers. What they're wanting to hear is your story and that you'll deliver it.
Oh, absolutely agree with you, Paul. And look, having an attractive overview brochure, having a nice information memorandum they're important tools for winning over investors. But in many cases, the most important thing you can do is a direct presentation. Giving that directly to the prospect can really win them over if you get it right. And look, hopefully we'll get a chance a little later to talk about some of the reasons, some of the things you can do in a presentation which help you to get it right and make that presentation effective.
So, Richard, we're in lockdown now, and what we've said to a number of our clients, it's an ideal time to review your accounts, bring your financial models up to date, update, therefore, your slide packs and your information memoranda, because most of our clients have got something in the back of the laptop. But what we're saying to them is that they need to be kept up to date, because in a period like today, you never know when the acquisition or merger opportunity is going to come. And what you need in those, or even to purchase a whole new business, you need to be able to show your own control and can explain your business. So in this time of lockdown, so that we're all ready to bounce out of the chair, hopefully well before Christmas, what should people be doing?
Look, I think, sadly, the first thing we need to acknowledge that there will be businesses that won't come through this. There are some businesses that are finding it very difficult with the repeated and continuing lockdowns, particularly in the hospitality sector. And some of them won't make it, which is going to be an enormous tragedy for those business owners, their families, their employees. And let's really hope the government will, our various governments will provide significantly extended support for those affected. There will be some of our favourite businesses, unfortunately, we will just never be able to patronise again, which is a great tragedy. But Australia does have a very resilient economy. And there's a few very interesting things that have come across my desk in the past couple of weeks. For instance, the investment in cloud-based infrastructure, that's going up by 450 million over the next year. Google's putting a major new cloud facility down in Melbourne. Australia has gone up the fintech rankings. They're now number 6 in the world, number 2 in Asia Pacific. There's more, would you believe there's more than 800 fintech firms operating in Australia?
800. Wow.
Over 800 fintech firms operating in Australia. Startup investment in the UK has gone through the roof, 150 billion so far this year, breaking all records.
Wow.
Our economic growth for Australia in 2020, it's predicted at 4.5%. That's a good year. And my favorite, this is my favorite good news story at the moment. It is one specific, it's not even a sector, a little segment, industry segment, where there have been over $350 million worth of acquisitions completed in just New South Wales in the past 8 weeks. Would you care to have a guess what that industry segment is, Paul? I can tell you it's close to my heart. Well, pubs, actually. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's one of my favourite industry sectors, and here we are. $350 million has been spent on acquiring new pubs, and they can't even open, can't even trade. So there you go. But look, there are astute investors out there who are active. There are existing businesses which are expanding, and there are some terrific business success stories which will come from this time. It may take a few years, but there will be some great success stories that will come through from this time. So to answer your question, yeah, businesses need to be prepared to get out there and seek new investment, or maybe, if the time is right, to actually sell the whole business. And there's a number of areas that they need to address there. Got to have good accounts for a start. Get those accounts good and up to date. Get your business looking good, whether it's a physical premise, whether it's an online business. Attend to it so it looks good and attractive to investors and buyers. And going back to what you said earlier, Paul, when somebody buys into a business, they're buying into you as well. So you need to prepare yourself to actually be able to present that business, to talk about your business, and to give the right impression on your business.
Well, we're seeing a remarkable amount of interest from offshore to invest into Australia. The success we are having as an economy has not gone unnoticed. So morning and night, and I mean early in the morning and late at night, we are getting inquiries for people who want to invest into Australia. We're seeing a lot of sectors where we're getting emails, do you know a business in? And quite frankly, we don't know businesses in those sectors, so we can't assist always. But some sectors we're seeing real interest in from offshore is the financial services sector. And particularly in the new fintechs or new techs, and we're seeing a lot of people wanting to take those and see them Australia as a rookery, and then advance those, having been successful in Australia, to the UK, Canada, and the United States, but to name a few. But the people who will get that investment need to be able to present themselves well, Richard. They need to be not just confident in the numbers, but they need to be able to demonstrate they have those personality or leadership skills. And what I find very disappointing in so many presenters is they come to the podium with a page, they're going to tell me the page or two, and they don't listen to the questions. They are not mindful that as a presenter, they actually have to communicate what the audience wants to hear. So how can we help them?
Well, I guess, if I go a step back, quite a few steps back, I at one stage of my career was doing more and more presentations, more and more business presentations. And to be frank, I wasn't really enjoying them. I wasn't enjoying them. It seemed hard work. And so I started doing a bit of research into presentations and how to do a good presentation. What I soon found out was the very great majority of people doing business presentations are getting it all wrong, just getting it all wrong. And in fact, you can become a very effective presenter in your industry by just understanding some key principles. And by taking on board those key principles, you can leap way ahead of your competitors and getting those key principles right. The bar is set very low when it comes to presentations. You don't have to do much to be up there and way above the bar.
So you've gone and produced Present with Impact, a course which helps people. Can you tell me how that helps people get ready for the market?
Yeah, look, I can. It's there's a number of elements involved in that in the course, and it includes things just preparation, getting your preparation right. Includes how you structure your presentation. It includes things like how you actually do the delivery, how you get an effective delivery of your presentation. And one of my real key issues and one of my key pain points, if you like, with presentations is the use of graphics and the use of visual aids in presentations. Can I give you an example? I'd like to give you an example.
Yes, please.
Which is both from the highest level, but it also a very topical issue and thing we're discussing at the moment. So if I might just bring this little image up, and I'll put it on full screen there. So here we have our Prime Minister. This was a few days ago. And he has, in fact, there's a lot of things I could say about this presentation. I could spend all evening talking about what's wrong with it, but I'd really like to focus on the chart he's using. And if you look at it, you can see there's a lot of detail on there, and it's in a very small font. That font is so small that even the Prime Minister can't read it. He's standing there next to the display. He can't read it. How on earth are the audience going to read it? So what we've got here is a situation where it's just a distraction. It's a distraction to the audience. They're not going to listen to the presenter. And it's a distraction to the Prime Minister. He's now turned his back on the audience and he's trying to read what's on the screen. That's not a way to get a message across.
Not his teleprompter. But also the lady.
The lady is doing the sign language. And what you'll quite often find when these presentations are being done, not just the Prime Minister, but the lady will obscure the display. So something's gone dreadfully wrong in the preparation as well, because quite often the lady doing the sign language are being obscuring key parts of the
Well,
of
I can't see
the presentation.
Tasmania, and I think she's over it, but I just
She's
can't see it.
blanked out Tasmania. Yep, Tasmania's gone in this one, and I
Yeah.
think fortunately they don't have any cases, which is just as well. But if they did, we wouldn't know.
Well, it's
Like,
interesting you choose this because one of my own clients decided to make their own video of their pitch deck, and which is the key 12 slides, and they did. They put themselves in that bottom corner, and every table when you had the last year of the table, they had blocked out. We had to send it back. When the person who'd made it looked at it, they didn't even see it.
yeah,
You said to me you need to have somebody, it happened to be me that read it, but you need to have somebody who goes through it and says, I can't see the numbers because you
yeah,
get too close to it. So
yeah.
you need either that or you need a format which tells you this is what you need to do.
Let me give you a little alternative, which again comes from the last couple of days. And this is a segment from ABC. I'd hate to say enjoy this segment because it's basically bad news, but this is a very well produced segment from the ABC on the same topic.
Yeah.
So if you look what we've got here, we have a very clear display. We all know what's going on here. Victoria is in trouble with COVID cases. It's very clear to be able to see that. And the presenter is able to talk directly to the audience. He's able to connect with the audience. He's able to continue the presentation very well, whilst the audience have got a very clear display of what's going on. With this display, you could go back and look at it in years' time, and you'd know what it was about. You'd even know the sort of emotion. You'd remember the sort of emotion that it generated for you. One of, if you were Victoria, probably quite a lot of dread. It's not the emotions we generally want to present, but it just shows how an effective graphic can really hit the mark with your audience. A bad graphic can completely disrupt your presentation and disrupt the audience's attention to what you're doing. When you're doing a business presentation, you want this second example. You want the message you're getting across to be very clear. You want yourself to remain the center of attention with the presentation. And you want people to remember it. You want people to remember what your message is and generate emotion. People will remember if you generate an emotion, if you make your message very clear. And that's just one example of the sort of things that I really focus on in getting people to do good quality, effective business presentations. That's what we really look at, is getting this sort of thing right. It's amazing, absolutely amazing, how people still don't get this. They'll still get up there. They'll still have loads of text. They'll still have bullet points. And I've read the research. That's absolutely the worst thing you can do if you want to do an effective presentation. The human brain is just not geared up to taking in information in a presentation format. It's just not geared up for it. It has not evolved for that function. So don't go along and do your presentation and expect to impart a lot of information through the presentation. That's absolutely the wrong thing to do.
Well, we try to get our clients to do presentations with graphics, and I'm firmly of the view a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that's what you've just shown. But one of my early teachers said to me, 5 lines, 6 words a line, no more on any one slide. And amazingly, people keep doing what you said, subbed up points in 8-point font. And when you blow it up, it's probably only 20 points. Nobody in the row 2 can see it. And
Yep.
they're not interested. And in our game, we really want them to read the information memorandum. So what we're saying is that presentation is really the tease to get them to get more involved.
Yep.
And so what gap in the market do you...
On the point of the information memorandum, there's something here which is, to me, we're going to talk about the biggest mistake you can make when doing a business presentation. And I'll use this little next diagram to illustrate it. Is one of my favorites that I use. It is, not surprisingly, the human brain. And when you're doing a presentation, you want to appeal to the emotional side of the human brain. That's the part that's going off in colors and happening and bubbling and doing things. If you can appeal to that emotional part of the human brain, that part of the brain will get the logical part, the rather grey part, to go and have a look at all the facts and figures. It will get it to go and have a look at the facts and figures, read your information memorandum, almost shape the figures. If you won the emotional side of it, it will drive the logical side of your brain to actually go and research those figures and look at those figures in a good light. If you get your presentation the other way around, if you address it to the good old grey logical side, the emotional side of that prospect's brain will never forgive you. It will always remember what you did to it. So make sure you avoid the biggest mistake by addressing that emotion. Win that emotional side of the brain. That is the key, the most important thing you can do with a presentation.
So, Richard, what gap in the market do you believe you're addressing?
Very interesting you should ask that, because the gap that I originally was looking at, Paul, was just myself. As I mentioned earlier, I just wanted to be above average. That's where I wanted to be. So that was my original market. But when I found out what was really going on with presentations and how what I thought must be the way to go was awful, that's when I started developing my my own course and my own consulting services. The fact is, 95% of business presentations are simply mundane. They fail to achieve their objectives, and that's the gap I'm aiming at. That is the gap I'm aiming at. And my driving force really is just to save us all a lot of pain and a lot of wasted time watching mundane business presentations. And I hope everybody who's listening relates to that. We've all done it. We've all been there. We've all seen that massive text going up, and we've all gone, oh.
Well,
that's what I want to do. Make sure that doesn't happen, and make sure we get as many people in Australia doing good quality presentations as possible.
In a presentation day for investments, you're likely to see 6 presentations an hour for 6 hours. It's going to be the one that stands out. You're not going to remember all the figures at the end of the day. What you remember is the emotional side of the brain that says, I like that. Yep. That's the one I'm going to go and read.
Yeah.
So,
look, the brain has very limited short-term memory. Very limited short-term memory indeed. The short-term memory of the brain is basically there to avoid you getting eaten by saber-toothed tigers, for instance. So if you try and drill a lot of information into it, it's just going to go in and out within seconds. What you've got to do, as you mentioned, get that emotional connection right. Get them to like you. Get them to remember maybe just one key thing from your presentation. If you can get them to remember that one key thing, that one thing that they go, wow, yeah, that's what I want.
I must read the memorandum and find out why.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what are the key skills you're seeking to impart?
Oh, look, it's not so much key skills. It's really people understanding the key principles they need to adopt. As I mentioned earlier, it's not very difficult to be very effective. The competition is pathetic. So if you can get some key principles, like the effective use of graphics, for instance, like analyzing your audience and pitching to their objectives, making sure you're trying to satisfy their objectives, like being well organized, having a well organized structured presentation, being absolutely ruthless with your content, taking out as much as you possibly can, which will be a complete anathema to some people. But when you go through what you're going to present, think about every word you can take out and remove, which doesn't directly hit the button with the audience. Those are the kind of, rather than skills, I would say techniques, because you don't need a lot of skills. You need to know the right techniques to apply to get your message across and to make that connection with the audience.
Well, Richard, I think a number of my clients need to do your course urgently. And I'm not saying that in any weird sense, because so many of them think they have to say everything in 7 minutes. What we say to them is they have 7 minutes of audience time. They need to manage it. We say to them they've got to have 12 slides, no more. And importantly, they need to leave them with a question that they're going to want the answer to in somewhere else.
Yeah.
Could you,
on that point, Paul, one of the things I talk to people about is, if you've got your 7-minute presentation, you've got to think how many words you've got. I mean, 7 minutes, you've probably got 600 or 700 words, which isn't very many. So don't waste them. When you're putting your thoughts together, when you're writing down what you're going to say, it's not very many words. You've got to be really effective in using them and really making your the commentary you're using very effective.
We spoke to a journalist about one of our clients' presentations, and he came back with 2.5 pages double spaced. That was it. That was all. The client was mortified. They'd sent 10. And he said, you can't have sufficient breaks so you can put emphasis and everything in. So that's really an important point.
Mm.
So, Richard, what are the key things you think that a business person now looking at where they are and they're having to get their presentation ready for investors, or perhaps to sell their business, because now is the time where they may want to restructure totally and go into something different or simply exit? What are the key things they need to think of in their presentation?
Why would somebody want to invest or buy this business? Why would somebody else want to buy this business? And that's quite tough for a business owner. I mean, business owners, I'm a business owner. There are babies. There are babies. We've grown them. We've had success. We've done great stuff. You've got to just take a step back and have a good hard look at what's good and bad about your business. Where can you go with this business? What haven't you done? Maybe what mistakes you've made, what opportunities haven't you exploited? You've got to have a good hard look at that. Or maybe get somebody like Paul Raftery to have a look at it for you and analyze the business, maybe, and really have a look at what this business seriously is. What are its strengths and weaknesses, and be prepared to paint that picture to the prospect, and be prepared to be honest. This is great. This is what could be done. Because in some ways, nobody wants to buy a perfect business, because what can you do with it? Unless you're a pure investor. If you're a pure investor, that's one thing. But if you're actually buying the business with some sort of ambitions of your own, then it might be the best thing to see that there's some things you can do, and there's some ways you can grow the business.
I think every investor wants to see there's upside. Richard, thank you very much for your insights into the world of capturing opportunity and how to expand your business by using appropriate presentation skills. Richard, thank you for your time tonight.
Terrific. Thank you, Paul. Enjoyed that discussion. Thanks for inviting me along.
My name is Paul Raftery, and I'm CEO of Projects RH, based in Sydney. And today I have met with Richard Carter, the founder of Business Connections and a leading business broker. He is also based in Sydney. His latest program Present with Impact can be found on the Business Connections webpage. Ladies and gentlemen, goodbye for now.
Good night.